Jamie Rivers, a 28-year-old amateur archaeologist and part-time metal detector hobbyist. Always drawn to the mysteries of the earth, Jamie grew up reading about hidden treasures, ancient maps, and long-lost artifacts. After losing his job in the city, he decides to escape to the countryside and spend a few quiet weeks exploring a secluded hillside. He once read about in a dusty old folklore book, the hill lies at the edge of a sleepy village, untouched and rarely visited except by shepherds. It's wrapped in local legend, a tale known as the Golden Whisper. According to the elders, this hillside was once home to an ancient ocean, and buried beneath it lies a treasure not of gold or jewels, but of something living, sacred, and forgotten. Most dismiss it as a fable. But Jamie, ever the dreamer, is intrigued by the peculiar consistency of these stories. Almost every version speaks of a golden oyster and a sealed bottle, buried close to the earth's heart. Armed with a notebook, a metal detector, and a thermos of coffee, Jamie sets out one early morning. The sun glows orange over the hills, casting long shadows as he begins scanning the ground near a patch of strange white wildflowers. His detector beeps faintly at first, then rapidly increases in pitch and urgency. Kneeling down, he starts to dig carefully with a small hand spade. After removing layers of grass and rich, undisturbed soil, he uncovers something completely unexpected, a golden oyster, large as a coconut, smooth as marble, and faintly warm to the touch. Its surface is pure gold, but not metallic in the usual sense. It almost feels alive. He holds it in awe, sensing that this is no ordinary artifact. Just as he's catching his breath, the metal detector pings again, this time only a foot away. He digs again, this time finding a long, slender golden bottle. It's sealed tightly with an ornate cap, and unlike the oyster, it hums with a low vibration. Symbols in a flowing, unfamiliar script run down its sides. Glinting in the sunlight, Jamie's hands tremble as he lays the bottle next to the oyster. For a moment, the wind dies. Even the birds seem to stop chirping. A chill passes through the air as if the very earth had exhaled after centuries of silence. He quickly packs the items and returns to his rented cabin nearby. Questions whirl through his mind. What are these things? Why were they buried together? Why here? That night, Jamie pores through his notes, comparing the symbols on the bottle with any markings he's ever studied. Nothing matches except for one sketch in his notebook. It's a copy of a local wood carving found in a ruined chapel, long abandoned. The carving shows a figure holding a pearl in one hand and a bottle in the other. Surrounded by waves, Jamie suddenly realizes the truth. These objects are connected to something far older than any documented civilization. The golden oyster and the bottle are not treasure. They're part of a much bigger mystery. He doesn't sleep that night. The wind outside seems to carry whispers. His thoughts keep returning to the phrase repeated in every local version of the legend, "Open not what was sealed by the tide, unless the stars remember the sea." Despite the warning, Jamie knows he's already crossed a threshold, and whatever he's found or awoken is only beginning to stir. The morning after discovering the golden oyster and bottle, Jamie sits in his cabin, the two artifacts placed on a thick wool blanket in front of the fireplace. He hasn't slept. Outside, the mist hangs low over the hillside, and the world feels strangely muted, as if holding its breath. Jamie's instincts tell him these objects are not only ancient but active, somehow aware. Driven by a mix of curiosity and unease, he examines the bottle more closely. It gives off a low hum, soft but rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The symbols on it shimmer faintly, as if shifting in the light. Jamie carefully turns the cap. It doesn't resist, but as it twists open, a wave of warm, Fragrant air washes over him like salt water mixed with something floral and wild. Then a sound begins to emanate from the bottle, not a voice in the traditional sense, but a melody, soft and layered, like a choir singing underwater. The music seeps into Jamie's mind, and slowly it begins to form words, not through sound, but through understanding. The bottle is speaking to him. You have broken the silence. You carry the memory now. Startled, Jamie stares as the golden oyster begins to glow. It cracks open slightly, revealing a strange, living pearl inside. It pulses faintly with light white at first, then gold, then a deep oceanic blue. The colors swirl like a storm trapped in glass. Jamie can hardly look away. He touches the edge of the oyster, and in an instant, a vision slams into him like a tidal wave. He sees an ancient land, lush and wild, with silver oceans flowing across mountaintops. A queen made of water and light walks among her people, carrying the same golden bottle, her other hand gently cradling the glowing oyster. He sees her sealing something inside it during a time of great chaos, a being, a force or a spirit that even she couldn't destroy. The vision fades. Jamie collapses, breathless and shaking. Over the next few days, the bottle continues to hum. At night, each time Jamie dreams, he sees flashes of that world civilization swallowed by waves, temples carved into cliffs, and the Golden Queen weeping on the same hillside he now walks. The oyster, meanwhile, opens a little more each day, as though it's awakening, realizing that the bottle and oyster are connected to something far greater than a local myth. Jamie begins studying everything he can: old maps, carvings in the village chapel ruins, and the oral history passed down by elders. He learns of an ancient order called the Tidekeepers, who were said to guard the memory of the sea long after the waters vanished. The phrase from the legend, "Open not what was sealed by the tide, unless the stars remember the sea," suddenly makes sense. The oyster is a seal, and the bottle is a key, both tied to a forgotten covenant between humankind and the ancient elements. The natural world begins reacting to Jamie's actions. Animals appear near his cabin and stare silently. The wildflowers on the hillside bloom out of season. The weather shifts rapidly, as though unseen forces are stirring beneath the earth. Faced with a choice, bury the items again and pretend none of this happened, or open the oyster and see what has been hidden. Jamie is torn. He knows now that whatever sleeps inside was locked away for a reason. But he also feels that the seal is weakening, and the decision may no longer be his to make. In the final moments of this part, Jamie stands at the hilltop under the stars, both the golden bottle and oyster in hand, the ground beneath him humming. He whispers, "Let the stars remember the sea." And the oyster begins to open. Under a moonlit sky, Jamie watches as the golden oyster fully opens in his hands. From its core emerges a radiant fluid shape shimmering like water, but golden and solid at the same time. The form rises above the ground, suspended in the air, slowly coalescing into a humanoid figure, with eyes like stars and hair flowing like seaweed in an invisible tide. This is no ordinary entity. She is Norelia, a guardian spirit of the ancient oceans. Her voice rings in Jamie's mind, calm, ageless, yet tinged with sorrow. She thanks him for freeing her and speaks of an ancient pact that once bound her to the earth to protect humanity from the chaos she had unintentionally unleashed. Long ago, when oceans still reached the mountaintops, Norelia ruled over a vast, peaceful civilization. But her power became unstable after a cosmic shift. Her emotions started affecting the tides, drowning entire cities when she grieved, drying rivers when she mourned. In desperation, her people, led by an order of mystics called the Tidekeepers, sealed her into the golden oyster and locked her essence with the golden bottle. ensuring that she would not awaken until the world was ready to balance her once more. Jamie listens, awestruck and conflicted. He expected treasure, maybe a relic of the past, but not a living embodiment of elemental power. He asks her what happens now. Norelia tells him that the seal wasn't merely a prison, it was a balance. And by opening it, Jamie has disturbed. Something else dots suddenly. The golden bottle begins to shake violently. It cracks with a deafening hum and releases a cold, dark vapor that rises into the sky. A second figure begins to form, this one twisted, shadowed, and sharp-edged. It is Malric, a being born from the void Norelia left behind. When she was sealed, he was to her other half, the result of her loss, grief, and rage. Where Norelia represents creation, Malric is destruction, not evil, but entropy and imbalance. Freed from the seal, Malric declares that humanity has forgotten its respect for nature and balance. He intends to reclaim the earth, not as a guardian, but as a storm. Jamie stands between them, helpless as both entities rise, the sky flashing with unnatural lightning, but Norelia doesn't fight Malric. She pleads with him. Jamie, realizing that he is now the only neutral voice present, speaks up. He reminds them of what he saw in his visions, that their original harmony created life and wonder, not ruin. He urges them not to destroy the world, out of anger or sorrow, but to restore what was lost together. Moved by Jamie's courage and compassion, Norelia reaches toward Malric. The two beings merge slowly, their forms wrapping into one, becoming a unified guardian, balanced in light and shadow. The sky clears, and the hillside begins to bloom with strange new life, silver grass, glowing vines, and star-like flowers. The golden oyster closes again, now glowing softly, and the bottle, though cracked, reseals itself, still humming, but calmer. Jamie, overwhelmed, is told by the guardian that he has become a whisper keeper, part of an ancient line meant to protect the harmony between earth and sky, ocean and star. He gently buries the oyster and bottle in the same place where he found them, marking it not with gold or flags, but with the same white wildflowers that first grew there. The story closes with Jamie sitting on the hillside, wind in his hair, watching the sunrise. He doesn't need gold or fame. What he found was far more valuable. A purpose, a connection to the past, and a promise to protect the future.